Our first speaker, for most of you, she will need absolutely no introduction, but for the sake of any newcomers, I'll introduce her anyway. Virginia Bazán-Gil is the Secretary General of our FIAT IFTA. She's the Deputy Director of the TVE Archive at RTVE, in charge of innovation projects, and somehow she still manages to find time to be a member of the RTVE Research Chair at the University of Zaragoza. She is going to talk to us about when AI meets the archive, the experiences of RTVE in automating cataloguing.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's been a while. It's been a while since I last presented at the FIAT IFTA World Conference. I'm back, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to present this project that has kept us busy for the last 2 years. Now that the project is over, it is time to analyze the results in hindsight. The RTVE AI project has two main goals. From the archive perspective, it was creating automatic metadata for 11K hours of content in 2 years. While from a technical perspective, the main goal was preparing the archive management system to receive automatic generated metadata regardless the AI provider. What we requested in the public tender, was a cloud service provided by a supplier using their own technology or bringing third-party technology. RTVE has the right to change AI tools if the quality decreased or if the technology improved, which in my view was a key element that really made a difference. The technologies that we requested were automatic speech transcription, of course, for Spanish, and speaker diarization, natural language processing, including name-entity recognition, keyword extraction, and content classification. As for artificial vision, we requested facial and identity recognition, OCR for labels and subtitles, scene identification, and object recognition. The project was divided in two phases. During the setup phase from May to October 2021, the platform for quality control was set up, the workflow between the archive and the service provider was defined, and more than 160 hours of different content were processed and validated. During the service phase from October 2021 to September 2022, the service was fully implemented, and some improvements were made. At the end of this project, in September, just a few weeks ago, we were processing around 300 hours weekly. In this slide, you can see the automatic metadata generation workflow. In orange, the direction out, and in blue, the direction in. The workflow, as you can see here, started at the RTVE archive system, where catalogers retrieved and select the content. They also selected the analysis model, audio, video, or audio and video, depending on the content. Then, in orange, sent the content to an FTPS, an MP4, and XML with relevant metadata for the AI analysis model. Every hour, the service provider, VSN, moved the content, which was registered in their system in the main part of the screen, which you can see here, and sent to the AI providers, Eticmedia for audio and Azure for video. When the analysis was finished, archivists validated the result and sent the metadata back to the archive system, as you can see in blue. From a technical perspective, one of the main challenges was that our archive was not ready to be connected to the cloud. when we got the financial support, and even when the project was awarded. That's true. But this time, our IT department did a great job getting things ready in no time because they knew that it was a good opportunity for the archive. We have been able to adapt the workflow to our needs in every stage of the process. At the beginning of the project, the metadata generated by the provider was ingested every 24 hours. When we decided to use this service for the recently broadcasted content, then we needed to change everything because we needed the metadata back in our system the sooner the better, which implied ingestions every hour from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. For the integrator and the AI provider, the challenge was the broader scope of the project in terms of formats and periods covered, from the 60s to the early 2000s. Okay, during this project, we have achieved some important improvements. The main one probably was the adaptation of the algorithm from default settings. The balance between audio quality and its quantity for the automatic track selection was customized to meet RTVE's requirements, because relevant audio, as you all know, is not always in track 1. We also defined the rules to apply different methods of analysis for news and entertainment, and also in terms of number of speakers. We included the only image analysis for raw material, and customized our vocabularies in order to get more relevant keyword extraction. As for content classification, we constantly corrected categories that were not performing well enough. From a technical perspective, we can identify external and internal challenges. Most of the challenges related to the service provider were connected with the inability of the algorithm to understand content accurately. Automatic speech recognition for Spanish and speaker segmentation performed well, but content classification and automatic tagging were the weakest parts of this project. Name entity recognition performed well only with classic entities such as persons, organizations, and places. But content classification was not good enough. For video analysis, we decided to change the AI provider, as the first results were not as good as expected. BSN used Azure to train 3 facial recognition models for a magazine from the 80s, political content, and sports. The model for the players of the Spanish women's soccer team has been especially useful. And the algorithm, I have to say, that performed well with a high accurate rate, returning very false positives. As for the internal challenges, as I mentioned before, the complete workflow and the gateways to communicate the archive with a cloud provider had not been established. The IT team worked intensively setting up the communication workflow, defining the metadata model and the structure of the XML that the supplier had to return, designing the new fields in the archive metadata model, creating indexes for the new metadata to make them searchable. They did a great job, but users, you know, we are never satisfied, so we asked them to make the content more user-friendly. But we have also evolved during the project, not only the technology, not only the vendor. The criteria for program selection evolved during this project. We started from preselected content based on our intuition to criteria based on the experience of the technology performance. During the service phase, we analyzed film archive from the 60s to the late 70s, original interviews from the 90s to the early 2000s, broadcasted programs from the 90s, different formats and topics, from politics to culture, and content currently broadcasted, news and magazines mostly. As for the quality criteria, word error rate and speaker error rate, we realized that our approach was too theoretical. News worked really well, and most of the news programs were AI analyzed. Some of them had no human supervision at all. The service was also applied at the request of catalogers for special coverage. For other kinds of programs, we had to be more selective because it was less, the content was less structured and the speech was more improvised, as well as more specific on occasions. Quality control. That's not nice. Okay, good. Quality control also evolved from deep quality control to semi-automatic quality control, and finally, no quality control at all. It is not that we didn't care anymore about quality, but we had tested the content beforehand, and if we were happy with the result, we would include it in the AI loop. Regarding image recognition, Spanish was the main language for the project. We were applying OCR to help regional delegations using other languages, such as Catalan. Also for concerts, music, and archive-based programs, OCR performed well. As the OCR was really powerful, BSN applied post-processing to deliver more curated content. And for object identification, well, that was very basic and not accurate at all. But it was really helpful, providing some access points to raw material very soon in the production process. I have to admit that we have lowered our expectations regarding the performance of this technology, and now we know that we need to define more precise use cases if we want better results. Well, we approach this project using progressively growing controlled groups. Catalogers tested the tool's performance for the content they manage, and if the result was acceptable, that content was transferred to automatic cataloging only tools. Researchers, as I mentioned before, suggested content that can be automatically analyzed for specific user needs, such as documentaries or special coverages. From the beginning, we knew that training was essential to understand technologies and the purpose of this project. Between January 2022 and January 2023, we held 8 training courses for RTVE professionals, including archivists and technicians. The courses were organized in 4 different sessions. First, an introduction to AI technologies, to explain the state-of-the-art of the technology and align their expectations with actual performance. A session focused on the use of AI in broadcast archive. Much of this knowledge got from FIAT IFTA conferences and seminars, so thank you to all of you sharing your knowledge here. A third session about the project implementation from tendering to workflow definition, areas involved, challenges, improvements, departments and service providers, and a final session about performance and results. These sessions were conducted by professionals from the University of Zaragoza, technical staff from the Innovation Department, BSN, archivists from news and programs working on the project, and also our Deputy Director on Innovation. We also organize 4 focus groups with catalogers and researchers. We ask them 5 open questions, which you can see on the screen. Both catalogers and researchers came up with similar answers. According to them, manual cataloging will decrease in the future and will be applied only to the most production-relevant content. Catalogers will focus on quality control and algorithms training. AI provides better processing working capacity, accurate transcriptions for searchers of who said what, but also massive unstructured data. On the other hand, human cataloging provides precision, relevance, standardization, normalization, high level of abstraction, and ability to interpret images according to user needs and legal use limitations. It is not about integrating humans in the AI loop, but the other way around. We want archivists to feel empowered and not threatened by technological change. And how are we doing this? Using AI only when it is proven that it works. As simple as that. We are applying now different cataloging levels for different user needs and according to the kind and relevance of the content in the archive. Although the cataloging process has become quicker, the need for structuring content descriptions remains essential in our opinion. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, this project is over. In October 2023, we started a second AI project with a different provider. This is a more ambitious project because the technology also allows to be more ambitious. We have added some new functionalities such as natural language description for images, automatic translation from other languages different than Spanish, and semantic description. We are optimistic about the evolution of these technologies, but we are also more realistic about the results we might get, as we have learned from this project. So I hope to see you next year to offer you the results of this new challenge, and maybe, I don't know. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Virginia. We've had a lot of discussions about how humans and AI could work together, and it's great to see that in practice. I'm sure that you have some questions. If not, then I have one of my own. What would your advice be to someone who would start now doing the same sort of project? Don't do it?
Yeah. No. Of course not. No. You need to take this opportunity. I think the first step is to define your goals and your needs. I think that's the main advice. You better think, and then you define what you want to achieve. And you test, you try, and you learn, and you fail. And don't be afraid of, embrace AI.
So, hands up if you have a question. I'll try to see through the bright light. Yes, there's a question at the top there. I'll get some exercise. One closer.
There.
Oh, great. So.
Yeah, over there. Oh, where? Axel? Oh. I have to say that this is quite intimidating. I mean.
Charles Weber from Caen. I have a question on the follow-up in September. You are starting a new project, you said, about translation, image recall, and semantic description. Perhaps it is a little bit early, but with which new partner are you?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
beginning?
Yeah, you know that we are a public broadcaster, so we launched a public tender. And this year we are working with a Spanish company called Nextred. They are integrating third-party technology, and this company is called FIAT, which is also a Spanish company. And as I mentioned, we can be more ambitious right now because we have learned during these 2 years failing, so now we are more smart.
Any further questions? Otherwise, I'm sure you can have an opportunity during the break. So thank you again, Virginia.
Thank you.
My question would be, what was the biggest challenge carrying on this project?
Yeah, as I mentioned yesterday during the panel discussion, the main challenge was leading with high expectations coming from our archivists. They thought that AI was almost magic, and it is not. It is not. So that's why I don't think we should be afraid of using AI and testing. And yeah, we are approaching this project as an innovation project, and that's the good thing. With innovation, you can fail. But the funny thing is that during the period we finished with a BSN project and we started with the other provider, our archivists were anxious, like, hey, where's AI, artificial intelligence? We need it. What's going on? And yeah, expectations, I will say.
And just, do you think that training them was the key for success?
Yeah, absolutely. We really believe in training. We really believe in learning from others. That's why we are here since, I don't know, early 2000s. And it was nice because, you know, archivists feel that they are part of this change. And they are learning and they are proposing and they are happy with what we are achieving. And I think that's a great success for this project. We managed to make it. We should be proud of that. Yeah.
Just have a question about how and when do you decide to fail? Because fail fast is good, and yeah, sure, but when or on which criteria do you decide to fail, considering that machine learning learns?
Yeah, well, we are happy failing. We really enjoy failing and learning. As I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, our approach to this project was too theoretical. We decided to select 11K hours of content that were not enough cataloged in the archive. So we thought, okay, let's select some magazines, well-structured, nice speeches, good pronunciation. Let's work as well with interviews, raw material, but quality audio, well recorded. And then we discovered that we were wrong. So we changed the approach and we start working with a series, like testing 1-2 programs, and if the result was good enough, then we sent the complete program. And that's the way you learn to use, at least in our case. So we were not afraid of failing because we were not sending this metadata to the archive system. So we have this interface for quality control that BSN developed for us. So if something was really, really rubbish, we just let it on BSN, sorry for that, Manuel. So don't be afraid. Failure is nice.
So that's fine. Thank you, Virginia, again.